Hey there, it's Miriam with Mobile Geeks, and this is our Nextbit Robin review. Yes, the Nextbit Robin, which was crowdfunded on Kickstarter in September, is finally a real thing and shipping to backers starting today. And here you have it. It is a very rectangular and very beautiful design. I really like the way it looks. I think it's refreshing. Comes in two colors. This is the mint color. There's also a darker shade, which is a little more conservative. But I think this is the one to get. Really quite awesome. So let me walk you through some of what this phone is all about, starting with the hardware. In the front here, you have a 5.2-inch 1080p IPS panel. It's a pretty beautiful panel, as you can see here. It does have some good viewing angles, right? Looks pretty good, no complaints. Now it's 1080p, which is perfectly acceptable for a 5.2-inch display. You also have two speakers here, one on top right here, and that's the earpiece as well. And then what's down here is cool is, of course, a secondary speaker for stereo audio, which is great. Kind of reminds us of HTC, and that shouldn't come as a surprise since the designer of this phone is no other than Scott Croyle, who used to work at HTC. You have sensors behind this window and then a 5-megapixel selfie camera right here, and that's basically makes up the front. Now in the back you have a bunch of interesting little things. First, the 13-megapixel autofocus camera right here with a dual LED dual color flash. The Nextbit Cloud logo with 4 little LEDs underneath there. And then finally the Nextbit text logo below. And of course these two bands in contrasting color make it look really great. The volume rockers here on the left hand side, and it's actually made of two of these nubbins basically. Feel really good. You can immediately tell which one's up and down. On the right hand side here you have the power lock key, which is also a fingerprint reader, and you have a nano SIM slot. And then on the top here you have the headphone jack, secondary microphone of course for noise cancellation, and at the bottom you have a USB Type-C connector, which is becoming more and more common on Android phones, and the primary microphone. Next to here is an LED used to show the charging state. Unfortunately, this LED doesn't seem to be used to show a notification, which I think would have been really great. And so that gives you a quick tour of the hardware. Inside, you'll find a Snapdragon 808. You'll find 3 gigs of RAM, a 2680 milliamp hour battery, NFC, which combined with the fingerprint reader means you can use this device for Android Pay. And then, yeah, that's basically what you have inside. There's 32 gigabytes of built-in storage. And remember, because this device is basically designed to not run out of space, you also have 100 gigabytes in the cloud, and 32 gigabytes on your device are kind of a subset of the total of 100 gigabytes you have storage. The idea behind Nextbit and Robin is that you never have to worry about storage on your phone. When you start running out, the phone and the OS basically shuffle the apps you use the least to the cloud, the photos you use the least to the cloud, etc. And it maintains all your settings, and as soon as you want them back, you can get them back. That is assuming, of course, you have an internet connection. The other advantage is that your phone is constantly and always backed up. And you know what? It does work remarkably well. So let me walk you through this cloud first stuff before I get into some features. This is what the software looks like, and as you can see, you know, it looks like pretty much standard Android, except for the fact that there is no app tray. So the idea here again is you just put all your apps right here and off you go. If you want to get some widgets on your screen, you just hold the recent apps button and you get this dashboard like screen like on the Mac, which has all your widgets on it. They're not accessible from these pages here, but you can manage these pages obviously like you would normally. The other thing is very much similar to regular Android is the settings. I'm not too sure about the color scheme here. You can change it obviously, you can even change the launcher if you want, but there's a lot of times that I've run into with this particular color scheme where things were hard to read with this turquoise color on white. But the settings are pretty much everything you'd expect and pretty standard, except for one, and that is the storage, which is now replaced with smart storage. Now this phone is purposely almost completely full. And this goes to show you there is, 24.9 gigabytes used locally, 1.1 available on the device, and I have quite a bit of storage in the cloud. And you can actually see how this is divvied up by tapping on each of these. What was really impressive to me when I used this is that if you plug in USB Type-C and you start putting music on the device over USB, you'll start seeing, especially when it's this full already, you'll start seeing your photos and your apps getting archived. The phone actually dynamically will make sure there's always 500 to 600 megabytes free on board. And it's incredibly cool to see that Nextbit has succeeded with this Robin phone to create basically an endless pit of storage. And of course, there are times when this is not going to work. Right now it doesn't support videos, for example, but it's really impressive what they've done here. Now, the launcher is a bit of an acquired taste, granted, but it's easy to get used to, and you can always replace it if you're willing to lose some of the cloud functionality with, say, the Android Now launcher. The bootloader is also unlocked, which means you can install Cyanogen and other OSs if you'd like. The idea here is that Nextbit wants Robin to be a pretty open and hackable phone, as it were. So let me show you some interesting things here. So you see these grayed out apps basically are apps that are no longer on the phone. They are in the cloud, and if I want them back, I can just tap the icon and they'll come back. The ones that are color are the ones that are actually on the device right now. And so you can say, for example, that you want to pin an app, and it'll show you which apps are pinned. I got a few apps that are pinned here. I never want these to be sent to the cloud ever. And so this little ... menu, it exists everywhere. And you can see, which apps have been archived, and you can restore them individually or in groups. And again, it's as easy as tapping on an app. So let me show you, for example, a simple one here. Let's restore Spotify real quick. So it says restoring Spotify. And as you can see, there's a little progress bar under the Spotify icon, and it's turning slowly brighter, the shade of the icon. And as you can see, it's almost done restoring now. Now, I'm over LTE, just to be clear here. I've purposely not put this on Wi-Fi. This is with AT&T right now. Of course, you can put a T-Mobile SIM in there. And look, it's flashing next to the icon, and it's taken about 20 seconds or so for Spotify to be fully restored. It's going to be done in a second. You'll see I can then launch the app. So this is basically what happens. And the best part is that any settings and features you had, it pretty much brings you back wherever you were in the app at the time. And obviously I have never used Spotify on this phone, so it restored it to an empty state. And here is a notification that says restore is complete. So that's kind of how this whole thing works. And it's really seamless. And I think this is the whole thing to take away from this device. Other than this cool design, the team at Nextbit really has made Robin live up to the hype of this cloud-first technology. And it works really, really well. The thing that I'm a little disappointed with is on this phone, and this is what I'm going to leave you with, the caveat right now, and this is not a hardware issue. The camera hardware is good, but it's the camera software. I'm a little disappointed with the camera software. Again, 13 megapixel phase detect autofocus, no OIS, dual color, dual LED flash. Let me show you. One of the first problems I have is very hard to read these controls. For example, right now, unless I have my reading glasses on, I can't tell if the flash is on auto, on, or off. And it always resets to auto. So if you kill the camera app, you're back in flash auto mode, which personally I think it should remember the last one. HDR right now is pretty broken. It doesn't work very well and is particularly ineffective in low light, which I think is unusual. Most HDR modes in low light actually improve things. So I'd like to see that fixed at some point. There's also no panorama mode, but there is a manual mode, which is pretty awesome, but there's a caveat there too. As you can see here, it's missing shutter speed. The good news is that you can install third-party apps. As you saw, there's a bunch of them here like manual or pro shot that support shutter speed, and that will actually solve the problem. So again, I think the camera hardware is solid. I mean, it's not top notch, there's no OIS, but right now the software as it ships from Nextbit is needs a little bit of work in terms of camera interface. And you can't get HDR through any other camera apps because it's not part of the camera firmware. So that's one of the things that has left me a little bit cold. But that being said, I've managed to take some pretty awesome pictures. Let me walk you through some of them. This one is actually HDR, not that great, but this is not a bad shot. You know, it takes some pretty nice pictures. As you can see, low light at night is good. So there you go. That's in a nutshell the camera experience on this phone. And as you know, I'm a big camera phone person, so that's something that really matters to me. But I think you'll be served well by this phone no matter what, in every other respect. The last thing I wanted to mention is these 4 LEDs, and let me restore another app so you can see, will light up like this when you're restoring or saving to the cloud. So all in all, I really like the phone. I really love the design. I think the cloud first feature works fantastically well. The camera needs a bit of work, but really thumbs up. This is a great device. So this is my quick review of the Nextbit Robin here for Mobile Geeks. Cheers.